Two of the biggest enemies of early stage companies are shiny objects and time, or lack thereof. And what I'm going to talk about today is a framework that can help you overcome these obstacles. Hi, I'm Nate Littlewood, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about objectives and key results, or OKRs. This is a framework that I discovered maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and it completely changed the way I think about running my business, collaborating with the team, and basically getting done. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use the OKR framework to cut through distractions, align your team, achieve your most audacious goals, all without getting overwhelmed. So let me tell you a little story. Back in 2017, when I was starting my own e-commerce business, I was experiencing what I expect many early stage founders go through, which is that I was getting overwhelmed by people wanting to help and ideas. Everyone wanted to make an introduction. Everyone had another company that they'd seen an Instagram ad that they thought I should look at, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on, right? At first, this was really fun and exciting. I got to, play with all these new shiny objects and explore all these new ideas. But I quickly realized that I was just basically like a kid in a candy store. I was running around, darting between all these different opportunities. And although I was incredibly busy, I was not at all productive. And I was really not making progress on anything much to do with actually growing the company. Anyway, that's when I discovered OKRs. You see, when you're an early stage founder, the reality is that you really only have enough time and resources to handle maybe 10, perhaps 20% of the opportunities and ideas that get put on your plate. And I would argue that one of the most important functions of an early stage founder is to actually figure out what is the 80+% of stuff that you should ignore because you just don't have the time or resources to do it, or, it just doesn't make sense for your company. And so OKRs are, again, a really, really good tool for staying focused on these things that matter most to the company. Anyway, what I'm going to be sharing with you today is the framework that I've kind of adapted and evolved from 6 or 7 years experience now working with OKRs in my own company. It is one of many ways to interpret and implement OKRs. This is just the version that I happen to have found very useful within the context of kind of 2 to 10 person companies or startups. This has worked really well for me. By the end of this video, you'll be able to set bold objectives that inspire your team. You'll be able to define measurable key results and track progress, and you'll be able to use OKRs to align your team and maximize your productivity. Plus, if you're ready to get started with OKRs right away, I am going to share a few free resources to help you get up and running. Okay, so let's talk about what exactly are OKRs and how does this framework work and how do you implement it? Well, you start with a corporate objective. Think of this a little bit like a short-term, usually 3-month mission statement. It should be something bold. It should be something ambitious. It should be something that's relevant to your customers that they would care about. And it should also be something that motivates and inspires your team. So OKRs were pioneered by a guy named Andy Grove in the 1970s. He's a former CEO of Intel Corporation. Since then, they were popularized by a guy named John Doerr, who's quite a famous venture capitalist. And they've now been widely implemented by a lot of the tech giants like Google and Netflix and so forth, all throughout Silicon Valley. Okay, so let's talk about why you should care about OKRs. Basically, OKRs help founders avoid 2 common problems. They are shiny objects and time. Shiny objects are things that try to get your attention. And when you're a founder, there's usually a heck of a lot of them being thrown at you. While these can be exciting at first, shiny objects can pull you in a million different directions. And OKRs basically provide a framework for helping you ignore shiny objects and stay focused on the things that really matter most. The second thing is that OKRs are really, really helpful as a time management tool. Time is a finite resource. Once you've spent it, you're never going to get it back. OKRs help you define the very few initiatives that will deliver the biggest impact for your company so that you're not wasting time on projects that do not move the needle. All right, let's now talk about about the process of actually setting OKRs and how do you go about implementing this for your startup. There's basically 4 steps I'm going to walk you through here. Number 1 is that we need to set the corporate or company-wide objective and key results. There should be one objective, and in my opinion, the ideal number of key results is either 2 or 3. Now, when I was working on my own startup, an example of an objective that we were working on at one point in time was that we wanted to become the #1 microgreens company in the US. Then below that, you have your key results, and the key results are more quantifiable measures or assessments of whether or not you are actually making progress towards that objective. Essentially, you could think of them as the proof that you are making progress towards that objective. And the nice thing about key results is you can define them however you want. The important thing is that you do have very clear and concise definitions. And when we were working on this objective, the key results that we had is number 1, we wanted to achieve a 40% market share on Amazon.com. Number 2, we wanted to increase our lifetime value to $90. And the third one was that we wanted to release some new products, which would kind of support the LTV stuff. The key results that sit below that are essentially your proof. They're your evidence that you are making progress towards that objective. The key results are quantifiable, they're easy to measure, they are unambiguous, and they help validate that we are heading in the right direction. Okay, so once you have these corporate objectives and key results, the next step is to basically socialize these corporate objectives and key results with your team. So if you have a weekly all hands meeting, that's a great place to do it. And basically what you're going to do is explain to your team why this objective is so important, and you're going to show them or explain to them how you as a management team will be tracking these things, i.e. what are the key results that you're going to be paying attention to. The next step is to essentially invite your team members to think about how they would like to contribute. What is it that they would like to do that can help assist or aid this corporate objective and key results? Again, I've got another example here. This is some of my personal objectives and key results a few years back. Since the company as a whole was working on microgreens and Amazon was quite an important sales channel, I said, you know what? I'd really like to master Amazon listing optimization and PPC management. That was something that interested me and excited me. And so then I had to think about what are the key results that can support my personal objective. And some of the key results that I came up with related to the conversion rate that I wanted to achieve. I focused on the customer acquisition cost as well. And I also had a key result related to repeat purchase rate. So I determined that if I was successful in learning how to optimize Amazon listing and basically getting better at managing it, these are the ways that I would prove that. So the final step is to basically build a map that looks a little bit like this, which essentially pulls everything together. And I'm going to talk more in future videos about some of the best practices and ways to actually, track and monitor this whole process on a week-to-week basis. But when you're putting together this map, one of the things that you need to look for is zombie KRs. And a zombie KR is what I define as a KR that no one's really working on. Clearly, if you don't have someone working on a particular metric or, number, then it's unlikely to expect it to move that much. If it does, it will just be coincidental. So what you need to make sure is that someone on the team is somehow contributing to each of the corporate key results. So once you've done that, what you're going to have is a single unified vision for your whole team. This is usually done kind of 3 months or 1 quarter at a time, by the way. So you've got basically a vision for the team. Everyone's agreed on what is important, and everyone has thought through what is the things that they are going to contribute in order to move the company objectives forwards. Now, in my experience, working with small teams, usually the key objectives and key results that your employees will come up with are going to be some combination of one, stuff that they're just really, really good at and they're the best on the team to do it. Fine. You might have hired them for a specific function or role. Great. They should do that. Number two, you'll probably come across situations where they don't know how to do it, but they're really keen to learn. People people who like learning and acquiring new skills naturally gravitate towards startups, and you should feed people those opportunities, right? You want them to have opportunities to grow and evolve. So by all means, give people things that maybe they don't know how to do it today, but in 3 months, they could comfortably learn how to do it and figure it out. The third type is kind of the least, how to say, favorable one. But the third type of key result that you might find yourself with is stuff that just needs to get done, and this person happens to be the best person on the team to do it. Obviously not ideal, because you're giving someone a priority or project that they may not be good at and they may not be very interested and or motivated by, but sometimes there's stuff that's just got to get done. Needless to say, you want to try to minimize that, do as little of those sorts of KRs as possible, and try to give people as many of type 1 or 2. Okay, so just to wrap things up, OKRs are an incredibly powerful way for staying focused, managing your time effectively, and growing your business. By defining bold objectives, setting measurable key results, and aligning your team, you can transform the way you work and achieve your most ambitious goals. Okay, so if you're ready to get started with OKRs and implementing these in your own company, then head down to the links below. I've got a free resource and guide there. This is, again, like one framework. It's one way to implement OKRs. It happens to be the method that I arrived at after many, many years of trial and error and kind of evolving the system to suit the needs of an early stage business. So I know it works, okay? And if you are interested in more content on this topic and maybe some tips on implementation and ways to get the most out of this framework, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. I am going to be releasing a bunch more content on OKRs in early 2025. So look out for that, and I will see you next time.